Welcome to the third out of 4 videos on GCSE last minute maths revision, this one focusing on data skills. The first question is a bit of a trial and improvement question for most students. We're told some facts about 3 people and we need to work out their ages. The best way to do this is to have a guess about one of their ages, work out their other ages, and to work out if that answer is correct. If it's not, we can adjust our guess and continue. So we've got 3 people, Fred, Tom and Joe. I don't know how old any of them are, but since their total is at 86, I'm going to have a guess that Fred is 20. That's an absolute guess. Tom is twice as old as Fred, so Tom would be 40. And Joe is a year older than Tom, so that means Joe would be 41. Okay, if I add up their ages, I get 40, 81, 101. Now, unfortunately, that's too big because I want the total age to be 86. So I'm going to have a lower guess. I think my next guess is going to be smaller. So my next guess might be 15 for Fred. Tom is twice as old. Joe is a year older than Tom. 61, 71, 76 this time. So unfortunately, this one's a little bit too small. This time I'll go, say, perhaps 17. Tom is twice as old. Joe is a year older. This time, the ages add up correctly to 86, so I know I've got it right. I can put the answers on the line. Fred is 17, Tom is 34, Joe is 35. The next question would always be on a question with a pie chart. I'm not going to draw that here, I'm just going to get the angles prepared. So when we've got a table of values and we're drawing a pie chart, we'll either, as in the second question, be given all the values, or in the third question be given some of the values and some of the angles. So first, where we're given all the values, what we're going to do is add those up, which in this case comes to 90. But we need to work out what the angles are. Now we know the angles themselves will add up to 360. So a little bit of maths here. Dividing 360 by 90 tells me that I'm going to times all the values by 4, because 90 times 4 is 360. I'm going to do that to each number in the table. 15 times 4, 30 times 4, and 20 times 4. And then I can go on to draw the pie chart. Alternatively, as in the next question, you'll see we've got some values and some angles. Again here, a bit like the last question where we want to know what we times by, we do the same here, but we'll have it on one row. I can see on the red row that 20 times by 3 makes the 60 degrees is on that angle. So I'm going to times all the values on the left by 3. So blue at the bottom, 60 times 3 is 180. The row above that, it would be 30 divided by 3 tells me there are 10 green. I've then got a row where there's no information. However, bearing in mind that these angles should add up to 360, at the moment they add up to 270, that helps me work out that the missing angle must be 90 degrees. And again, by dividing by 3, I know there are 30 yellow. Question D. All the averages are covered in other revision videos, but just in case a problem like this comes up, when it tells you that the mean is 10 and it wants the missing number, you can work that out. If you added up those 4 numbers and divided it by 4, you would get 10. That's how the mean has been calculated. However, at the moment we can't add up those 4 numbers. That said, we know that 40 divided by 4 makes 10, so we know those numbers must add up to 40. At the moment they add up to 33, so the missing number must be 7. Question E. Sam's only going to choose 4 of the cards, but they have a mode of 3. That means most of the numbers are 3. So I'm going to put 2 of the cards to have 3 on, because there are 2 3s. It doesn't matter what the numbers are on the other lines, as long as they are not 3s, and they are not the same numbers. So I couldn't put 5, 5 down, because then the mode would be 3 and 5. I'll put 6 and 7 down. Last question. More numbers, more cards, and again Tom's going to choose 4 of them and they're going to have a median of 4. That means the middle value should be 4. There isn't even a 4 in the list, so this time I shall put a 3 on the left and a 5 on the right. And as long as the numbers are therefore in order, the median will definitely be 4. So I'm going to put a 1 at the start and a 6 at the end, because that does not affect the median. Just pause the video now if you want to have a go at these questions. Okay, the first question, the probability of rolling a 5 on a dice is 1 out of 6, 6-sided dice. Since this scale has been cut up into 6 slices, this will be the 1 out of 6 section. Dennis has got a selection of pens. What's the probability that he picks blue or red? Well, there are 2 blues and 1 red. That's 3 altogether out of, add up all the numbers, 3 out of 8. Probability tables, these always add up to 1. At the moment, the 2 values we've got add up to 0.6, which means the other 2 values must add up to 0.4. Tells me in the question that the values are equal for blue and white, so I can half 0.4 to give me 0.2 in each. The question about cars and trains, males and females, you could present it in a table, in a frequency tree, or just by calculations, but I certainly think some structure will help here. Okay, I'm going to use a frequency tree, but again you could use whatever you wanted to use. So we've got some males and some females, and there are 40 people altogether, and some of the males travel by train, some of the males travel by car, some of the females travel by train, some of the females travel by car. Let's read those clues again. 13 people are male, so taking that off 40 tells me there are 27 females. 10 females travel by train, so taking that off the 27 tells me there are 17 females who came by car. And 8 males came by car, taking that off the 13, it tells me 5 males came by train. Work out how many people travel by car, so we've got the 17 males and we've got the 8 females, makes 25 altogether. And on the last question, if you've got a pre-drawn pie chart, there'll usually be a missing angle to work out. This question wants to know how many people went to Portugal. First of all, I need to know what the angle for Portugal is, and I'll do that by adding up the other angles and taking them off 360. So the angles add up to 300, which means the missing angle is 60 degrees. In the exam, I'd show all that working out. And I need to know how many people this is. Well, it tells me there's a fact in the question. It tells me that 30 people went to Italy. Okay, that means this section here, the Italy section, is worth 30 people. I can see here that the number of people times 3 equals the angle. Or the angle divided by 3 equals the number of people. So I'll do exactly the same with Portugal. What number times by 3 will make 60 is going to be 20. Or what's 60 divided by 3? 20 people. Okay, let's go through these ones. Probability tree, each set of branches adds up to a whole one. So 0.4 on the top will give me 0.6 on the bottom. The next one, 0.3 on the top, will give me 0.7 on the bottom. And since the probabilities aren't given on the bottom right, there's no clue in the question, I can assume that they will be the same as the ones on the top. It then wants to know the probability that Wendy wins both games. On the tree, that'll be this win and this win. I've got 2 values, 0.4 and 0.3, and we need to remember to multiply those together, which will give me 0.12. 50 people are asked if they like sausages and eggs. 20 people like sausages. Do not write that number anywhere because that number itself doesn't go in. 14 people like both, I can write in. 10 people like neither, I can write in. Let's go back to that clue about sausages. Since 20 people like sausages, there are 14 who like sausages and eggs already on the diagram, so that leaves me with 6 who just like sausages. Since there are 6 there who like sausages, 14 who like both, 10 who like neither, that adds up to 30. It must be 20 people who just like eggs. Final question, students who are asked if they liked coffee. There are 30 students altogether. 20 of the students were girls, therefore 10 are boys. 14 students liked coffee, including 6 boys. So 14 is these two added together, so that must be 8. And again, taking 8 off 20 gives me 12, and taking 6 off 10 gives me 4. Last two questions. The first question wants me to work out the mean, and it's given me a table. We need to remember the skill for this is MMAD. Midpoint, multiply, add, and divide. So we'll take the midpoint of each row. The first row 20 to 30 kilograms, the midpoint of those would be 25. I'm going to multiply those values together. I'm going to write my totals at the end of the row. I'm going to repeat that across all the rows. So that's the midpoint done, it's the multiply done. Now we're going to add, and the values that we're going to add are these ones we've calculated, and on a calculator that's given me 2,520. And we also add the frequencies. We never add these midpoints, we never add this column. So the frequencies add up to 50, and let's make a note I've done that. The last step is divide, and I'm going to write out that step. 2,520 divided by 50 gives me my answer of 50.4. Now how can I check that answer? Well, these weights in the table went from 20 kilograms up to 80 kilograms, so a final answer of 50.4 seems reasonable. But it might ask you in the exam for a bonus mark why it's only an estimate. Well, it's an estimate because we don't know any actual weights, and I will write that down. Final question is on scatter diagrams. It asks you to describe the correlation and the strength. Well, it's clear that it's negative, and since the points are very close together, we would say that it's strong negative. Part B requires me to draw a line of best fit, which will try and go through as many of the points as possible. Even if it never asks you for a line of best fit, always draw one on, because there will be marks for this somewhere in the question. The last question wants me to estimate the value of a car that's 6 years old, so I will find 6 years on the diagram, go up to my line of best fit, and then go across to give me a value of £4,000, which I'll write on the answer line. Okay, so that's all for this video. There's nothing else really that could come up from a data point of view. I hope it's been a useful revision video. Make sure you check out the other 3, and good luck with your last minute revision.